Lawrence Snell here, and welcome back to High Intensity Business, your one-stop shop for growing your strength training business and fueling your passion for all things high intensity strength training. I'm joined by the $1 million trainer, Pete Cerqua. Who is Pete? Pete built a $1.2 million strength training business, operated for 16 years. He now coaches strength training business owners and helps them grow to 100 sessions per week and beyond. Pete, great to see you again. Pleasure as always.
Thanks for having me back, Lawrence.
You're very welcome. And we are doing the Garage Gym series, part 3 today, I believe. So I'm always excited to have these conversations with you and continue the conversation to help people figure out how to build a super successful, profitable garage strength training business. So today we're going to be covering pricing and product, protocols, and if we get time, finding your voice, which is a mysterious category. So let's go into pricing and product. How do we figure this out for our business?
Pricing is going to go back to our previous episode where we do a little bit of a demographic study. We'll just dig around and find out what the hourly rate is for a personal trainer at the local gym and what the hourly rate is for maybe some one-on-one training studios, not necessarily HIIT studios. And of course, if there are HIIT studios in your area, get that information too. Find out what it's all about. Let's also be clear that a garage gym is basically a home-based gym. It could be on your property. It could be in your home. It could be in the basement or the garage. So we do have some, just a little broader options there. So pricing, you want to find out what the market is paying currently. Now you're going to probably deal, and we're going to get into this, we're going to segue right into this product. What is your product? And I ask this question to people all the time. What is your product? And they're bewildered. Well, product is how many minutes you willing to give? Is it a 10-minute session? Is it a 20-minute session? A 30-minute session? Is it an hour session? By the way, there's nothing wrong with a 45-minute or an hour session. There's some master trainers that are very, very successful and commanding a very high rate with hour sessions. It's still time efficient and that you don't need that every day. You're going to do this 1 hour session once or twice a week, but it's a different type of session. It's a slower pace, more exercises. There's probably a little bit more physical therapy, quote unquote, built into it. But it's a great market and great product. So what is your product? If I were to make a recommendation, I think the 30-minute product is by far the best all around to consider. Just for a lot of reasons. And mostly, and people ask me, Pete, when can I go to a 15-minute session? You know what? If you have to ask, you really can't. There's an art form there. There's a lot of pressure. You have to be really hyper organized to do a 15-minute session. What if your client walks in 5 minutes late? You can't be rattled. Sales will go down. The 30-minute product is great. You can get 6, 8, 9, 12 exercises in, or pretty much everything you planned out, even if your client's late, even if you're kind of backed up, you'll be able to get it in, plus a little conversation, hello and goodbye, plus scheduling. 30 minutes is a great product. I highly recommend you consider that. Also, you can book 2 people per hour and basically get twice as much money as the average personal trainer. If the average trainer is charging $50 or $60 an hour, you could get $50 or $60 for 30 minutes and sell it as, I'm going to get the same or better result as the trainer at the gym in a private gym in 30 minutes. There's going to be no waiting. You don't have to walk 100 yards for the next piece of equipment. It's right here. It's for you. No distractions, no idiots on their cell phones while you're waiting for the machine. We're going to remove all of that and focus on you. Great sales pitch. The product is 30 minutes. I recommend. Pricing. Try to look for what the hourly rate is of the local personal trainers. You could probably charge that for 30 minutes.
Do you think we need to be mindful and discern the types of personal trainers out there? Because if we just look at personal trainers, we might see personal trainers working out of like lower end, like big box facilities. Was really, we probably should be looking at the kind of higher end pricing because we're going to have a similar customer.
Yes, you're trying to get that, but in the beginning, you're just really trying to get the word out. So you're
Mhm.
trying to get anybody and everybody to come in and try your service. I I I would rather price myself, and I would rather price myself low in the beginning, um, build up a schedule to a certain. I always set myself goals. So like when I got to
Yeah.
20 sessions a week, I increased my rate. When I got to 40 sessions a week, I increased my rate. It was every 20 sessions, I was going for a bump. Um, it's when you're in demand,
Explain the
it's easy
logic.
market.
Okay, sorry, I cut you off there. You actually answered the question. Explain the logic for why you start relatively low and then bump it up every few clients or so, or 5 or 10 clients that you
It,
said there. Hmm.
it's my thing that I teach operating from a position of strength.
Yeah, yeah.
If you have zero clients, you can't be sitting there laying the terms out. Well, I'm going to charge $100 and it's 22 minutes and everybody's going to go like, yeah. And you've got no clients. See you later. When people see you're booked, they'll pay, so you want to get booked. So how do you get people in the door first? Well, you're probably going to have to be affordable. You're going to have to be competitive with the local market for the first 10 or 20 sessions or 10 or 20 clients. Now you're getting experience. You're getting your rhythm down. You're getting your product under control. You're scheduling. You're gaining experience, which you need, absolutely need. You're going to work out some bumps. Now you're flying at 40 sessions a week. Go ahead and raise your rates. You got nothing to lose. It'll be fine.
This is an interesting conversation because you're right. Like scarcity, as we know, is a huge driver of human behavior. So if like people see that you're booked out, it's going to drive more interest. To your point, more demand. Now, just to give a real example, I'm thinking, if someone does the research, like, okay, a 1 hour session at a comparable facility that might have, the type of clients that I want, maybe they charge $50 an hour. Are you going in from the outset, zero clients, $50 for a 30-minute session or something else?
And that specific example, I would probably price myself a little bit less. Like I would go $45 for
Sure.
once a week and $40 for twice a week.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
because I want the client to see that it's less than the $50 that this guy is charging.
So a couple more questions on this. Yeah, that's fine. What about, do you think it also matters, like if you're coming to this as a total freshman newbie, you're learning your trade, you still probably have some work to do in terms of like delivering good personal training sessions. You've got perhaps not much experience. Does it differ if you're that person versus the person who is actually like already quite very skilled trainer? They know they can provide high value from the get-go. Could they price higher? Or do you think, no, both zero clients, like eat humble pie? How do you think about that?
Well, all right. So let me relate it to me.
Yeah.
So I did my last personal training session at my studio the day before Thanksgiving in 2016. I've been out of the game for a while. I haven't trained anybody professionally for a fee. What if I wanted to start my own studio in my home tomorrow? What would I do to price? Now I was charging $125 for 15 minutes in New York City for a lot of reasons. One reason, I was a best-selling author. Another reason is I had 25 years experience under my belt and I was in demand and I had referrals coming out my ears. Okay. Tomorrow, if I open up, I have none of that. Nobody cares about the book you wrote 10 years ago. I'm not in the media or the news. I'm not getting interviewed in magazines for, a new product right now. So, I'm cold. I'm probably going to charge $25 or $35 for a 30-minute session just to get 10 clients in the door quickly. And I'm going to sell it with, look, man, I've got a ton of experience. I'm really, really good at this. $25.
You
Come on,
really
give me.
think you'd have to start at that lower price point?
I'm not saying you have to start that low.
Uh-huh.
You get 10 sessions out of the gate fast. And I would tell these people, by the way, you'll get to have that rate because I need your support right now, but that rate's going to double up really fast.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm going to sell it.
Yeah, come in closer to the mic. This is interesting. So you're also using scarcity then as well, right? You're saying, hey, it's this price for this many. and you're using that as again, a way of making that sale.
Pretty
Yeah.
much.
Do you think what do you do then? So let's say you operate on that basis. So every 5 clients or every 10, you're upping the price. Obviously, there's a capacity limit to what we do. Depends on if you want to hire people, but then that comes another problem because your margins will be lower for certain clients for certain sessions. That can become a problem if you've got different price points and some too low. So how do you when you're at, let's say you're not going to hire trainers, let's keep it simple. You're just your own, one trainer. You want to do 50 sessions a week and you get 50 and then everyone's on like, every 10 or 15 increment is on like a different price point. What do you do then to maximize revenue beyond there? Do you, because you're kind of, do you bring them all up to a level? Do you hike them up gradually? Like, how do you manage that?
I approached it the opposite. I used to come up with a dollar figure for a week or a month that I wanted to make.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would divide it out by the number of sessions I needed to perform. The very first goal I ever set for myself was I want to make $1,000 a week. And I was doing hour sessions back then and working out of gyms and apartment buildings and stuff like that. So I need 20 clients at $50 an hour. But I approached it with $1,000. Then I wanted to make $2,000 a week. What's a good way to, well, let's do half-hour sessions. If I could do it at $50 and, I could double up very quickly. So that's the way I went after it. If you want to think about your business. If you want to make $2,500 a week, 50 sessions at $50 a session, and if they're 30-minute sessions, is 25 hours worth of work or 5 hours a day, 5 days a week. And that's $100,000 to $120,000 a year, give or take on vacation. That's a great business.
Yeah. That's certainly the goal for a lot of our listeners, actually, is that kind of business, that level. And obviously you can go way beyond that if you want to. It's a really bad question, to be honest, Pete. I didn't ask it very well. But what I'm really trying to understand is like with your particular approach, when you get your 50 sessions, so let's say that's whatever, 25 clients, and you've got 5 on $25 a session, then you've got the next 5 on 30, the next 5 on 35. There comes a point where you're at capacity. What do you do then if you want to make more money? How do you then bring people up in that context?
You can go back to the $25 sessions and just start bumping them up. I
Sure.
did not do small increments like you described. I would do much larger increments. So
Okay.
I would go $25, $50, $75 a session.
Got it. Okay.
And it'll average out quickly because your 75s and your 25s are giving you $100 an hour or on $100 a session rather on average. So
Help me understand that.
Well, so if you have, let's say you have 10 $25 sessions and 10 $75 sessions.
Got it. Sorry. Yeah. I'm with you. Yeah.
$50 average, not 100.
Before we go any further, I just want to quickly thank our sponsor, Barvik GmbH. Building a successful strength training business requires top quality exercise machines and a reliable source of spare parts. Sourcing Medix machines known for their exceptional design and performance can be challenging, often leaving you dependent on the secondary market. Barvik GmbH, based in Hamburg, Germany, offers a solution, led by Egger Barvik, who spent over 40 years working with and learning about Nautilus and Medix machines, and also completed a 3.5-year apprenticeship at Mercedes, mastering quality engineering. Barvik produces German-engineered Medix machines in India with thoughtful enhancements over their US counterparts. Barvik machines are trusted by happy customers all over the world, including members of the high-intensity business community. They're even being supplied in large volumes to major fitness brands like Keiser Training. For example, my former business partner and current HIB member Sean purchased Medix equipment from Barvik for his studio here in Galway, Ireland, and both he and his clients couldn't be happier. From popular pieces like the leg press, pullover, and bicep curl to rarer gems like the super forearm and tibialis, Barvik offers a wide selection of 35 Medix models built higher for easy movement of a pallet jack, zinc-plated weight plates, flat steel core belts instead of carbon fiber, and adjustable 90mm rubber feet. And right now, you can get 5% off a minimum order of 6 machines, but only for the next 3 months. This offer expires October 31st, so don't wait. Visit medex.eu, tell the team what you need, and choose the machines to grow your business. That's medex.eu, medx.eu. And now, back to the episode. And I guess I'm just thinking, I'm curious, okay, then how would you go about bringing up the guys on $25 to, would you bring them up to 50 or 75? Would you say, like, I'm curious how you'd manage that process.
It depends on how strong you are. With me,
Okay.
I had a waiting area that was busier than the gym.
Right.
I had bodies stacking up in the waiting area, socializing, which was always good. It was great networking and marketing for me to have 3 or 4 or 5 clients hanging out. People knowing that they have to get in there early because I'm going to point, there's not a lot of chit chat. We're going. Okay. So based on that, hey, you see how booked I am. Listen, I'm sorry. I'm out of spots and you're at $40. I got to bring you up to 75. I hope you're okay with that. And because they've seen the atmosphere in action, no. I really appreciate you giving me the break. I never had a problem with it. Now, if they walk in and they're the only one in the waiting room and the gym is empty and you're just sitting there waiting for your next session and you start with a lot of dialogue, hi, how are you? How's your family? That body language says something. It says that you're broken, you're not successful. And when you go to bump the rate up, it's going, yeah, no, I don't think it's worth it.
Yeah, no, okay. So this comes back to your point about operate from a position of strength. It totally makes sense because you're looking at that cohort and that price point and you're kind of saying you have no fear because you've got demand, you've got referrals coming in. And if you make a big jump, if it's like 40 to 75, for instance, you will probably churn some. Like if it's a smaller jump, you won't. You'll always probably churn less than you think. That's what I've experienced. It's always interesting when we work with people, like they're always so scared to do a price rise. And when they do, it's never as bad as they think it's going to be. And I love doing the math where I look at, okay, well, even if you lost like this many clients, you'd still make more money because obviously raising prices is such a powerful lever in increasing profitability. And so when they see that, they're like, I just find a lot of people don't do the math. So guys, if you're looking at raising your prices, do the math and realize that how much more money you're going to make, even if you lose clients, and you probably won't lose as many as you think. And we've got some great stories in the community actually where I'll keep him anonymous because, don't know, clients might listen to this or whatever. But he had clients actually email him and like thank him for increasing prices. I don't know if you remember that, Pete. And it's just like completely changed the frame and kind of the way to look at this. Because this individual is providing so much value that the client appreciates that. And you gave a good example of that in your experience with this, Pete. And we actually have the template email. We obviously blacked out the names and the email addresses, kept it all confidential, just to break beliefs around raising prices. So no, thank you for that. That makes it much clearer to me, like how you personally do it. So let me see here. I got a couple other things I just wanted to ask you. Do you think, one of the concerns I had, and I wrote this down, is do you think we have to be careful not to be too low, not to be too cheap? Because then there can be a problem with the perceived value of what we do, right? If we're cheap, people think, oh, it can't be very good. Do you think there's a problem with that? We have to be mindful of, like, we can't go too low now for that reason, even when we're just starting.
That comes back to the sales ability of the individual, how good of a salesperson you are.
Mm-hmm.
The prices, the number, the equipment, the studio are definitely one thing, but if you can't sell it and you don't have confidence in your product, then we're going to run into a lot of problems. And I've worked with people with this, where it really comes down to they just don't have the confidence.
Right.
So it's a tough question, and it's difficult to work with people that have no sales. They have excellent technical skills. They can show you all around a leg press machine and the biomechanics of it, and their coaching is legendary, but they can't sell a session. This is a sales job.
I don't
This
think
is
the sales motion in our
excellent.
business is complicated at all. And maybe I'm biased because I come from sales, but I just think that the consultation, and obviously you're going to be covering consultation in part 4 in the next episode. But like, it's just as far as like, I mean, I come from a business to business complex technology sale with a 12-month sales cycle or multi-year sales cycle. So to me, it's like a 45-minute or 30-minute consultation where you're asking great questions. And I know you have your own format, and it's just the way I did it. And we provide a free workout that is just so demonstrative, right? In terms of like, it's like, wow, that's something I've never experienced before. It's such a, it's not a difficult sale. I don't think it's a difficult sale to teach you, but I think you've probably experienced differently, Pete. So that does surprise me a bit, to be honest. Yeah.
It is
I hear that.
difficult. It's more difficult than you think. I've seen seasoned people who make classic mistakes in this area. And, they've got the client trapped in a room and they're just dribbling on, or, verbal vomit, we call it. And it's tough. And selling is an art form. I have a soft sell approach. That's something that I've subscribed to for years. It's something that I connect with and I resonate with, and it works for me. That doesn't mean it'll work for you. You could be a hard sell approach guy. I've seen the hard sell work and work very well, but it fits the personality of the person. We got to find out what fits you, and work with that. And you've got to embrace that, just like your training protocols, just like your equipment, just like your studio space. It's really got to reflect you. You got to connect with it.
Do you not think we should do finding your voice before protocols? If finding your voice sounds like the filter for a lot of these things, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can. We want to go into that.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Before we do, I've just got a couple other things, and I'm just aware of time. So I think actually we'll just focus on pricing and product on this one.
Okay.
And yeah, no, it's interesting listening to you talking about the consultation. I can't remember where I was going. I had another thought then, but it's just left my brain. Let me see what else I've got here. We talked, actually, yeah, we probably covered pricing. I feel quite good. I feel it's been quite comprehensive. Do you, anything else you want to add in terms of pricing?
I see people that price high with no experience, and they have a strong attitude, and
That's a pleasant way of putting it.
Yeah. And they fail,
Okay.
and I watch them fail. And what I learned about this subject years ago was I worked in a gym where there were a lot of celebrities. It was a celebrity owned gym, and there were a lot of celebrities in there, from professional basketball players to movie stars to
So cool.
singers. It was a cool environment. And occasionally I'd see a trainer charging $250 an hour. And they were, they had 2 or 3 key clients. And I studied that model, and I found it was like overall in the year, they weren't making a lot of money. They were charging $250, which you're really impressed with, especially back in the 90s, right? Oh my God. There was one guy charging $500 an hour, and I was just like blown away.
Wow.
But he was working with a female singer. I never drop names in this category. I always
okay.
for just listening. But it's a female singer, and she would do 3 times a week, and you're like $1,500 a week, one client. But she would also not refer because she wanted the trainer for herself. They don't like sharing. That's number one. Number two is if she went to LA for 6 months, this is New York, right? She went to LA for something, for an event or something. This guy's losing money by the minute unless he traveled with her. So, it's like, you got to watch these prices. So if you price yourself too high and you can't back it up and you can't do the volume, you're going to run into a lot of problems. So I like to be more reasonable. I like to be a little bit more affordable, and then just tighten up those minutes. I work myself down to a 9-minute workout in 15 minutes. It takes a lot of practice to get there, but I just thought that was a better long-term solution. And I also, at one point in my career, I limited people to once a week. I wouldn't even entertain twice a week because I figured 100 clients once a week was better than 50 clients at twice a week.
Less risks.
Yeah, somebody goes on
Yeah.
vacation or quits, I won't even feel it. As a matter of fact, I'll welcome the break. So
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I've got another thought about consultation, just because I'll hold my thought on that because we'll talk
write
about
it
it when we
down.
talk about consultation. Yeah,
Write it
and
down.
yeah, no, I won't forget. Don't worry. But no, it's really good. I love getting into the weeds because I think that that's helpful. I hope it's helpful to people listening. It's like maybe they're thinking of a question and then I ask it, and in that way we just get everyone's, objections or perceived barriers. We try and break those down. That's the whole point, right? So Pete, a pleasure as always. I love doing this series with you. What's the best, where are we sending people? Remind me.
$1,000,000trainercoach.com. You'll see a little bit about me. Of course, you can always find me here on High Intensity Business Podcast. We do lots of episodes together and connect with people. And then I've got a Facebook group called Resistance Exercise Professionals, or REP. And it's just studio owners and trainers. It's not my content. And you get to see how other people are doing it. So those definitely other ways to connect with me.
Awesome. Yeah, and if you're listening to this series and you're like, I would like Pete to personalize this to my business and help me, let us know. You can join our free community for high intensity business. It's school.com/HIB-free. And there's links all over wherever you're watching this. So you can join that community and you can message myself or Pete directly to basically have a consultation to see if you'd be a good fit working with each other and working with Pete. So that's that. And this is Lawrence with High Intensity Business. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk soon.